Here's the deal. Sales isn't about pushing harder, talking faster, or flooding inboxes. That's noise, not strategy. Real business development? It's about presence, precision, and knowing exactly how the room feels before you open your mouth. Jake Stahl, author of Own the Room, How to Communicate to Be Seen, Heard, and Respected, has spent over 30 years training teams across 6 countries and 47 states, teaching solopreneurs how to turn conversations into conversion. Known as the mind mechanic, people who have been trained by him say he has the uncanny ability to break down human behavior and rebuild it into real, repeatable influence. This is where communication becomes your unfair advantage. Welcome to Own the Room with Jake Stahl.
I have to tell you, we've had a lot of guests on the show, and I'm excited about all of them, but boy, this one is amazing. National Speaker Association Hall of Fame, author of now 13 books, sales coach, leadership coach, works all over the place. I am just thrilled to have our next guest, Meredith Elliot Powell. Meredith, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jake. I'm excited to be here, ready for a good conversation.
Excellent. So, Meredith, I barely touched on your background. I'd love to hear a little bit more about you from you because you're going to do a much better job.
Yeah, so thanks so much. So I am on a mission in life, and my mission is life is to help people learn to turn uncertainty to competitive advantage. We are living in a world that is shifting so fast right now, and I have spent the last 8 years researching and studying uncertainty and change and how it impacts people. And pretty much it impacts people negatively. And my mission is to help people learn to flip that and really start to believe that uncertainty can lead to opportunity, because we are living in unbelievably uncertain times. And if they're going to be successful, they're going to need to shift and think how they feel about uncertainty. And I do that through my work, my books, my research, my keynote speeches, and my coaching.
Oh, Meredith, this is such a cool topic. So let's dig into this a little bit. Uncertainty about anything in particular, or are we grouping uncertainty into like one big ball and saying uncertainty about politics and your mortgage coming through and your job? Is it all lumped together, or are we talking specific uncertainty?
What a great question. And I've never been asked that question before, but let me answer it this way. During COVID is really when uncertainty became very heightened for us. We were worried about it. We started worrying about it back in 2016, but it became very heightened around COVID. And at that time, it was just about health. It was about COVID, but then it spread to work, and then it spread to worrying about family members. Now, we thought COVID was the biggest uncertainty we would ever see, but oh my gosh, it's gone on steroids now. From there, it became supply chain. From there, it became politics. So it is absolutely everything lumped together. And that's why people are so incredibly overwhelmed and exhausted by it.
So, Meredith, this sounds like it has a lot to do with change as well. Just nobody likes change. So, does that mix into this formula also?
Yeah, it's absolutely. We don't like change. And the interesting thing about change is that we worry so much about it that we actually, this is going to be in your realm, we move to the side of our brain that shuts down innovation and creativity.
Yeah.
Fear is the worst thing you can be. And when you shut down innovation and creativity, change and uncertainty become a self-fulfilling prophecy. They become the doomsday that you see them to be. But the cool thing about that, Jake, is that we found in the research is that if you flip it, if you can really work to really believe that change is positive, even when it's a change you don't like, you'll move to the side of the brain that unleashes innovation and creativity. And from there, you'll find your path.
Meredith, this is so cool because one thing we talk about a lot on the show is that the brain thrives on being able to create shortcuts and reliable thoughts and not have to diverge, like you said, into wasting a lot of energy on worry about change. And yet we do it religiously.
Yeah.
I've heard oftentimes that 80% or 85% of what we worry about never actually takes place. Meredith,
Mhm.
any thoughts on that? Because I was always curious about that stat.
Yeah, I don't know that stat is true or not. What I think, though, is I think we manifest it to come true.
Oh,
I mean, it's that one of the most important things if you're going to navigate uncertainty successfully is to truly have a vision for your life and your life and your business together. I mean, where do you see yourself 1 year from now, from a health perspective, finance perspective, relationship perspective, business perspective, and focus relentlessly on that. Because if you focus on the fact that you're going to lose your job, you just increase the chances that you're going to lose your job. Because I mean,
yeah,
I don't have to tell you what you feed the brain becomes your belief, which
yeah,
becomes your action. Like
yep.
if I just decide that every morning I get up, I want to be healthy, but then somebody brings a donut, I have to eat the donuts, and I've not gotten any exercise by the end of the day, I will do that every day. Versus if I flip it around and go, you know what? I don't have to eat donuts. And I'm somebody who goes for a walk instead. I become that. So, it's that those types of things are really, really important. So what you feed the mind, if you worry, I do think you will manifest a lot of it.
Meredith, I love this, and I could not agree more. So, a lot of the listeners are business owners,
Yeah.
small business owners, people who deal with the struggle and the change every day. So, let's talk about thinking the positive. So, thinking about where you want to be and what that dream self of you looks like. How do we even start? Because a lot of people are like, I don't know how to do that. And as soon as I start to think positive, the worries come in and the self doubt comes in. What would you say a
Yeah.
good first step is just to figuring out what that manifestation should look like?
Yeah, so I call it a relentless vision. You need to know that your mind is wired for negativity. So we've got to train the brain to think positive. Right now, if you're watching this interview, you would see I'm in my office in Asheville, North Carolina. And every morning I get up and I come up here to this desk and I pull out a note card. And on that note card is my relentless vision. I want you to write these words down. And the words are number one, your health. Number two, your relationships. Number three, your finances. Number four, your business. And number five, your spirituality, whatever that is for you. And I just want you to write down for you, not for anybody else, where you want to be a year from now. Like in 1 year, I want to be 10 pounds lighter. In 1 year, I want to be closer to being out of debt and started funding my retirement. 1 year from now, I want to spend more time with my family. I want more days where I prioritize my family. 1 year from now, I want my business. I want us to have increased market share by 10%. That's all you need to do. Just, I don't care how the words, and I want you to focus in the morning. I want you to read it. I want you to read it at lunchtime. And I want you to read it before you leave your office at night. And I want you to do that every single day. I do it every day. I have done it every day since I found it, since 2016. I cannot believe the things that have happened in my life because by 9 o'clock in the morning, I'll have a client mad at me or I didn't get a job that I really wanted. And my mind starts to go down the negativity track. I
Yeah.
read that vision to pull it back because I'm training my brain to find opportunity.
That is amazing. So, Meredith, I can hear some people already going, you know what? It's kind of late for me. I'm
Mhm.
late 50s, early 60s. What am I going to manifest? That I keep all my teeth by the time I'm 65. So, what would you say to somebody that's older and says, I'm a little old to change my ways?
Yeah, I would say two things. I would say number one, you're absolutely not too old to change your ways. And don't you want quality of life in the last years you're here? The other probably which would drive you more is you need to realize that you're a role model to everybody around you. If you have children that you love,
Good
a
point.
partner that you care about, grandchildren that are watching you, you mentioned a grandchild.
Yeah.
That impact is huge. And to see that is really 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 incredible. So think if you can't think about yourself, then think about the impact you have with others.
Wow, that's great insight. I don't think we ever focus enough on how much we are acting as a role model for other people. I think that's probably one of our most underserved thoughts is that we're not just ourselves, we're acting as an example for others. So great point.
Yeah, I just want to mention with that, I mean, think about those who are listening that you're a business owner. if your employees see you doing this, if they believe there's a vision, if they buy in at a whole nother level. It's a way to increase effectiveness and efficiency.
So, Meredith, this sounds a lot like a vision board. So,
Yeah.
a mini vision board on this little index card you were talking about. Is that where we're going, or is that something different?
Yeah, no. I mean, definitely, I've had a vision board, for years. It sits in my bedroom. I look at it every morning. But I love this note card because I can carry it around everywhere. I travel quite a bit for a living, and the note card is always with me. I could pull it out when I'm sitting at the dental office and the dentist is running 10 minutes behind. I can look at it. It takes seconds, a day. And I think it's so important to keep your mind focused on the positive. And I think, Jake, when I started doing the research, I think one of the most amazing things I learned was that, success isn't logical. Success isn't about having the best education, the most money, the
For
living in the
sure.
right city. It is about focusing on what you want and forgetting about everything else. Like, do you have the ability to focus on what you can control and let everything else go? And that begins by training the brain with clarity of what it is that you want. And if you don't know what you want, you need to go for a hike or a walk and figure that out.
This sounds remarkably simple, Meredith. And listen, I agree with you. I think this is simple. But what would you say to the person that says, "Listen, you just want me to write this down on a business card or a index card and read it 3 times a day, and that's going to start to cause change"? My guess is, Meredith, you've seen this 1,000 times. Can you give an example or two? You gave a great one for yourself, but like a client who started to do this and some things that happened for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you, I'll give you a great example of not even one of my clients, but it's a client we all know. I mean, if you think this is BS, think about the fact that all of us know we can't eat a waffle fry on a Sunday, right? Chick-fil-A's are not open on Sunday.
Right.
And but let me tell you how crazy that business model was. A really stupid business model. Number one, everybody told the founder of Chick-fil-A, you cannot open franchises and not open on Sunday. It's a birthright in the United States of America to
Yeah.
eat fast food on a Sunday. Add to that, you'll never be able to hire employees. They're shift workers. They've got to work on Sunday. And add to that the fact that you're going to pay on real estate 52 days a year. You're going to add an expense at a time when you're trying to build a business. Today, Chick-fil-A is the second fastest growing fast food restaurant in the country, despite the fact that they are not open, 52 days. They're open 52 days less than their closest competitor. And why? Because they are diligently committed to their vision and to their values. They know what they want, they know how they're going to get it, and they do not worry about all the people that cannot tell them that's possible. Now, they're a controversial company, but I can't give you an example that isn't a controversial company, because once you are clear on your vision and your values, guess what? You become controversial because not everybody wants you. But the cool thing about it is the path that people follow you. They know who you are, and they come with that. I'm doing a leadership, development course for a company right now, and I've got their leaders so focused on the vision and the values. If they will just lead according to the vision and the values, the profitability will come.
Yeah. And it's funny, the other business it makes me think of is Hobby Lobby.
Yes.
So for those of us in the South and in the Northeast who have Hobby Lobby, I don't know if they're nationwide or not, but they're closed on a Sunday as well.
Yeah, exactly. And very controversial company, right? Very
Right.
controversial. But here's what happens. When you are clear on what you want, it's so easy to make decisions. They're like, yes, this is right for us. This isn't right for us. Versus like, you take I forget, was it Budweiser that had the big scandal with
Yeah.
the that
Yeah.
what, and
Yeah.
that is a company who was not clear on what they wanted to serve everybody. And you
Yeah.
can't do that, right? They needed to go one way or the other. And that's why you got to get, there's an energy that comes off of you when you are clear and people recognize it. Your customers find you, your employees find you, they stick with you when you do that. We did this in my husband's dental practice. We flipped employees forever and really struggled with the amount of competition we had in the marketplace. And we just set a vision that we were going to be the number one high-tech dentist in all of Western North Carolina. And we set a set of values around it. We hired according to those values, and he didn't flip an employee in 8 years and became the number one dentist in the state of North Carolina. Just,
Wow.
but we were relentless about it. I mean, you have to be focused on it.
So let's talk about that a little bit because we have a lot of business owners that listen to this that their ideal customer profile is a little shaky and their value prop may not be that great. And that's what I coach people in is how do
Oh,
you
nice.
get that specificity and how do you get that? But let's talk about that a little bit. You talked about vision a number of times. Is there steps you take a client through on solidifying that vision? Because for a lot of people, it's like, well, my vision is I make 100,000 this year, but that's kind of nebulous. It may not be where it needs to be. So, any tips or tricks on developing clarity with your vision?
Yeah, number one is if that's what you write down that you want to make 100,000 this year, I'm good with it. Just get
Okay.
started because your vision will clarify over time. The more comfortable you get with this and the less you judge your vision, the more that the more clarity you will get around your vision. Like you might start out by saying, I want to make $100,000 a year, but then it becomes, I want to make $100,000 a year, but I want to have a really strong core of customers. I want people who do a lot of repeat business with me. And then it expands to the fact that, our industry needs to transform. I want to be on the leading edge of where this industry is going and what they're doing. It will transform itself the more you talk about it and the more input you have. But I would say if you run a small company too, I'd share the vision with the team and ask them for their ideas and their input. Get them to engage in it.
That's a great idea. For my company recently, I had everybody tell me what they would do with $400,000.
Nice.
And I said, create a picture that manifests what it is. And then I asked everybody to make it their wallpaper on their computer. So
Yeah.
we could all think about that each day. So I am a firm believer in this, Meredith. God, 1,000 times over. So, Meredith, you told me a staggering stat that you are submitting your 13th book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about the books you have out because I think the audience is probably going to want to look at the collection that you have and speak a little bit about the trilogy that you said that you were kind of rounding out with this book you were submitting.
Yeah, so I never really thought I would be somebody who would write a book. I was not very prolific as a child, but right when I started in the speaking industry, people said you need to write a book, and I pretty much don't think about things. The moment somebody says this is a good idea, I jump on it. So that's something that has not served me well in life. But I was really blessed the first time to get with a wonderful editor who said, what do you want to write a book about? And I said, I don't know. And she said, well, take 5 days and see what customers ask you about. And it was and she said, because that's a book that's relevant, right?
Yeah.
And so from there, she said, now once you know what that is, write down everything you would want to tell me about that topic, and then put that in order, and that becomes your chapters. And what I loved about that process was it made me have an opinion, and then it made me have to back up that opinion. Because if you
Oh,
have to
great
write all
point.
these words, and so I started writing books just because I would have ideas. Like when I thought of, the fact that why does uncertainty have to be a negative? And what if we all believed that uncertainty was a positive? I had to back that up. And
Yeah.
book writing became a way to do it. And that book became Thrive, Turning Uncertainty to Competitive Advantage, which is research that I did on how businesses turn uncertainty into opportunity. And it's based on research from companies that have been in business for over 250 years. When I
Wow.
finished it and got it ready to send to the editor, to the publisher, I was like, the Great Depression didn't end at 5 o'clock. People need to know how to do this in their personal lives.
Right.
And that became the book Mentally Fit. How do you become built to win so that no matter the disruption personally or professionally, you have what you need to be successful? And from there, the piece that became the most important was perspective, which is the last of the trilogy, is that how you choose to view things in life will determine your joy, your success, your happiness, and your peace.
Meredith, that is a huge nugget. I think perspective is huge. So, can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I personally tend to lose perspective a couple of times a week, and you have to kind of reel yourself back
Yes.
in and get yourself all set. So, can you talk a little bit about perspective and why it's so important?
Yeah, what I love about perspective is the fact that you can control it. Um, and it will determine everything. So in essence, perspective is nothing more than how you choose to view something. Like, let's assume that it's going to rain all weekend here in Asheville, North Carolina. I can decide that I'm like, oh my gosh, I was going to play golf, I was going to play tennis. It's peak weekend. It'll bring all the leaves down. My perspective is that it's negative. So with that, I will most likely have an unhappy weekend, right?
Yeah.
But I decide that it's going to rain all weekend, and wow, it's finally an opportunity. I've been wanting to kind of clean my closets out. This is really fun. We could have people over. I could build a fire. I will find the joy in the obstacle. And I really cannot express enough that perspective determines where your brain goes. And where your brain goes will determine the action you take. And the action will determine the result. If I decide that rain is a negative and it's ruining my plans, then I'm probably just going to end up on the couch eating cookies and binge watching something that isn't good for me. If I decide that it's a positive, I'll probably get up. I'll be excited about cleaning out the closets. I'll have people over to dinner. My husband and I will probably go to the gym and work out because we're never inside working out because we're always outside. And it determines, and that will result in I'll be happy on Monday. I'll be excited. We will have had a better relationship versus if I'm sitting on the couch eating cookies and whining, my husband's not happy with me. I haven't built relationships with friends. And come Monday, I can't button my pants. I'm not very happy to start the week, So I want
Yeah.
people to understand from that book, you control so much of your life and you have an unbelievable ability to change. It does not matter where you started or where you are. It matters where you want to go and what you want to accomplish. And you have the ability to change and to get there. And I think that's fascinating.
Meredith, this is fascinating because I know people in life that no matter what happens, their roads are paved with gold.
Yes.
You
Yes,
know, they're
exactly.
just, yeah, I got a flat tire. Hey, you know what? I was tired of driving anyway. It'll be
Right.
nice to meet the AAA guy, so I know people like that.
Yeah.
And Meredith, this sounds a lot like the power of positive thinking. Is
Yeah.
that kind of where this is going?
Yeah, it's definitely the power of positive thinking. And what I really want people to take away is if your life is not where you want it to be, any aspect of it, look at the perspective, look at the lens through which you see what is in front of you. And the moment that you change that lens, you will change the belief, which will change the action, which will change the result. And you 100% control that.
Meredith, I love this so much. This sounds to me like I use the saying sometimes with my clients that you're not playing to win, you're playing to not lose.
Yes.
And it sounds like you're talking a lot about you got to start to get the mindset of playing to win.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%.
So, one thing I love to ask my guests is you're an expert in your area, you've done a lot of talking. What's like the number one myth that you hear? Like the number one question that people have that you go, oh my God, if I could just get rid of this myth, the world would change. What's the number one myth that you hear all the time that
Yeah.
you can disprove for us?
Bar none is that they feel like they have no control. They feel like that the number one myth is that they're dealing with aging parents, they have challenges with children, they just went through a merger at work, and they have no ability to control all the negative things that are happening to them. Total myth. You can 100% control it. My favorite exercise to get people to do that is write down all the things that you're stressed about. Everything, just do a massive brain dump. I'm, so frustrated with the care my parents are getting. This merger at work, nobody's listening to us. I'm terrified I'm going to get fired. If my kid gets another D, they're going to go, they're not going to be able to get into college. Write it all down. Then separate the pile into what you can control and what you can't control and focus on the things that you can control. And you will realize that in life, you can control about 3 or 4 things. But if you put your energy there, the impossible is possible.
That's amazing. This sounds kind of like the name it to tame it thing. When you name it, it kind of starts to lose its power, right?
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. And you got to, you have to get it out, like what you're stressed about. I hate it when people go, don't worry. That no, I have, you can't release it until it comes out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When my kids were growing up, my daughter was afraid of the monster under the bed, and everybody said to me, "Just tell her there's no monster under the bed." I said, "You can't do that. You're not just
Yeah.
going to say there's no monster, and she's going to agree with that." So, yeah, I hear you 100%. So, Meredith, our time is coming to a close, unfortunately, because I could talk to you for like hours. So, Meredith, when we have people that come on this show, one of the things we like to talk about is there was probably a time in your life where you didn't follow all of this, right?
Not any of it.
So, right. So, if you could go back and tell that person one or two things, if you could go back and just say, listen, take my advice on this, what would that advice be to the younger self?
Yeah, well, again, great question. I am, by the time I was 36 years old, six male members of my family had all died of alcohol addiction, including my dad, both my brothers, my first husband.
Oh, wow.
And I had everything that went on with that. I was all the abuse, all the drama, all the everything. And my younger self believed that not only were things not possible for me, but I did not deserve them. And
Mm,
so I not only didn't follow any of this, I followed none of this. And what I would tell my younger self is that you are not defined by the circumstances that you're in. That is not a shadow on you, and that somebody who pulls through that and grows from that is somebody that is so much stronger and so much tougher than most people. And you should be proud of who you are rather than shamed and embarrassed.
that's fantastic. And now you opened a door. So we're going to extend this a little bit longer because I need to know the answer. What changed? What
Mm,
made you just think, that's it? I'm
yeah,
done.
yeah.
So what was
Yeah.
it?
So I'd spent my whole life trying to save the alcoholics in my life. And the biggest irony of my life is that my alcoholic husband saved mine. We were in this pattern, Jake, where I would go to work all day. I would earn all the money. I would pay all the bills. Every day I would come home. He would be completely drunk and he would have charged up another credit card. We lived like that for almost 10 years. You could count on it like clockwork. We would have a huge fight every day to the point I would scream, I would cry. He would eventually raise a hand. I would leave the house until he passed out. Lived that way forever. One day I came home from work, just like I'd always done, walked in the house, two bottles of vodka completely drained, another credit card charged back up to $5,000. I start losing it. I scream, I cry, I yell, but he didn't say a word. And eventually I quit crying and he just looked at me and he said, sorry for my French, but he said, "Who the F asked you?" And I was like,
Wow.
"What do you mean?" And he said, "Who asked you to pay my bills, clean up my life?" And I was ready to pounce. But it was like
I'll bet.
yeah, it was like the universe intercepted though. And the universe said, "Who did ask you?" Like, and
Yeah.
even if they did ask you, you're here because you made the choice to be here. And it was a
Yeah.
light bulb. And that day I walked out the door, I got therapy, and I started really realizing that my life was a mess, not because I was married to an addict. My life was a mess because I was making it a mess and I had the ability to change it. And it changed everything for me.
Meredith, that is an amazing story. Thank you for being so transparent.
Sure,
And I'd
happy
like the
to.
listeners to know we didn't plan this.
Not at all.
Meredith just
No, Jake
opened
didn't
right
even
up
know.
and
Yeah.
so that is incredible. And I applaud you for making that change because that had to be incredibly difficult. And it
It
certainly
did.
didn't happen overnight.
It didn't, but it's my basis for my work now.
Fantastic.
I love when people tell me they can't change because I'm like 99% of the time I've been lower than you've been. I get it. I understand it, but
Yeah.
I want you to come over here on the other side with me.
Outstanding. So, Meredith, we covered a lot today. Is there
Yeah.
anything else you'd like to cover, like your new book that's coming out, the name of
Yeah.
it, when's it being released?
The new one is Ask for Change. It'll be summer of next year, and it is another level of what it really means to live, succeed, the life that you want in uncertain times.
Fantastic. I'm going to start reading your books like this week. So I'm thrilled that we made this acquaintance.
Me too.
Uh, Meredith, if anybody wants to reach out to you, hire you, get you to come in and change their uncertainty, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah. So I'm a big believer, build your network, change your life. If you connect with me, I will connect with you. You can find me at my website, valuespeaker.com, just the words valuespeaker.com. I'm on all the social media channels, but tend to live on LinkedIn a little bit more. Connect with me. Again, I'll connect with you.
Fantastic. Meredith, thank you so much. I have a ton of gold nuggets. I'm going to go back and watch this recording or listen to my own podcast and take some great notes. So thank you very much for your time. And I appreciate you taking time out of your day and your beautiful home.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me, Jake.
Thanks for checking out Own the Room with Jake Stahl. If you've gotten value from this episode, share it with the solopreneur in your life who wants to know how to communicate to be seen, heard, and respected. Review and rate the show wherever you check out podcasts. And grab your copy of Own the Room, How to Communicate to be Seen, Heard, and Respected. We'll catch you next week on Own the Room.